This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 970, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Austin, Texas, author, speaker, podcaster, Jamie Ivey.
Hey, guys.
And from Nashville, Tennessee, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Minor.
What's happening, everybody?
I love having the full cast back. We've had a couple of episodes with, moving around, the cast members. It's great to have everybody. I got to be honest with you, though. I'm looking. Everybody looks great. Everybody looks ready, primed, happy, except for Jesse. Jesse looks a little tired. You all right? You all right, buddy?
I'm tired.
My man Jesse look like trash.
No. He is an Adonis of a man. He is good looking from head to toe, no problem. But I know Jesse, and I can look behind the eyes, and he's looking a little bogged down.
What's going on, Jesse?
Everything is happening. Like it's one of those like couple week stretches where you feel like when you check one thing off the to-do list, it somehow makes you more overwhelmed because you're like, the task I was on was hard enough. Now I got like 5 more coming behind that are even harder. And it's not necessary. It's not a bad thing. I'd rather have a lot happening in my life than, kind of wondering what the next thing.
Would you actually?
I'll say this. In a couple of weeks, we're going to Wyoming.
Yes,
and,
that's right.
Out there, the rule is to try. My personal goal is to do as little as possible. As longtime listeners know, I've had the privilege of joining Cameron and Derek and lots of friends and adjacent colleagues on a trip to either Montana or Wyoming every year. And a lot of guys, when they get out there, they like to go fishing and they like to go on these adventures. Cameron one time rented a motorcycle. My thing is I like to just sit and literally do nothing. I'm like that episode of Seinfeld where David Puddy and Elaine are flying back from Europe. And Puddy, if he wants no entertainment. His entertainment is just staring blankly at the seat in front of him.
She broke
That's
up with
what
him
I want to
because of
do
that.
for
Remember,
a week.
She ended the relationship because she was so bothered that he didn't need to read a magazine or watch anything. Yeah.
Staring off into the distance blankly sounds amazing right now. Like if I could list 5 activities I want to do, that would be 1 through probably 3, and the other one's the other would be involve napping.
I've been going on this trip since 2014, once or twice a year. And I'm telling you, the first, half dozen of them, I was like, hey, once in a lifetime experiences. Let's go, no regrets. I'll tell you the last 4 years, man, I just show up and sleep and play cards and just do absolutely nothing. We're in God's country and I don't leave the lodge because I am just when do we get to do nothing?
Yeah.
Never. Okay, I do have a question for you guys. Do y'all do them in May often? Because all of us on this show right here have children. And doesn't it always feel like the month of May is like, oh, wait, you have a choir concert tonight? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, your teacher sent an email about it last week? Oh, sorry, I didn't see that email because I'm working my tail off. Do y'all feel like that with the month of May?
It's busy. It's for sure busy.
Which that's why I'm glad you got. That's what I'm asking. This is a great trip to go do nothing after the month
Jamie,
of May.
Let me answer this. I have a doubleheader Little League football coming up on a Sunday, followed by a ballet recital for my daughter. I mean, even Sundays are getting wall to wall. I mean, it's like from church till dinner. It's go go go. You know, it's
now I got little nieces graduating and proms and all those different things. So it's like. It's the same thing for me. So, I feel you. It's serious right now.
We have prom. My son graduates from high school this month, which is like, what in the actual heck is happening with my life?
Congrats.
I know, congrats, but how did this happen? And I had swore to myself, the month of May 2022, when Caden graduates, I'm going to be chill. I'm going to be home every day when he gets home from school. We're going to go to lunch once a week. Like, it's just, it is frantic. This is why I hate the month of May.
I think, how there's weird little consultants now for everything. Like we talked about on the show a week ago, like a baby naming consultant. Like people who have more money than they literally know what to do with are paying someone like $10,000 to consult on what their future baby should be named. Like they'll find the ideal name. I feel like there needs to be a boredom consultant where it's someone's like, you can hire me and I will make you bored. Like that's the feeling I want to experience is I want to think about what it feels like to have nothing I have to or want to do. You know, like I want someone just to find ways to bore me and just silence it. I could see that being like a crazy rich person consultant, a boredom consultant.
Here's what's going to happen, Jesse. You know, I'm going to be gone for a month and we're taking our kids on this month-long epic vacation to Italy.
This is the second to last show before you go on your month-long sabbatical.
I'm going to miss you guys. But all I'm saying is Aaron and I have talked about what we're going to do when we have our children in Italy for a month. And the first one says, I'm really bored today. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're bored? Like we have pasta coming out of our ears and we're in
Literally
another country.
Go out to the olive orchard and
go get some olives for us
throw
for
rocks.
dinner.
I mean, like you're in Italy, just wander around. Yeah.
But on the flip side, I was going to say, I think it'll be good. We're never bored. This is like could go way deeper, but we're never bored as people. I think that's one of the things they've talked about a lot with like technology is we're never bored. And I'm going to be happy if someone gets bored in Italy. That'll be a good sign, right? They're just chilling. We're just doing nothing.
When we're in the car, my little kid, he's like, he's always on his phone or whatever. Or once he immediately pulls his phone out, and I'm just like, I am absolutely an advocate for kids should be bored in the car. You should have to look out the window, and you should have to be in your thoughts. You should have to be bored, and like so, I have like a hardcore no screens in the car policy because boredom is important. Like your mind gets active. You know, you're not just numbing yourself with scrolling.
All right, here's a question that I have. My kids are a little younger, I think. Mm-hmm. So they're like 8 and 10. And my 10-year-old is asking me for a phone. When does the phone thing happen? Because I like right now, I'm like, yo, you're probably never getting a phone. Like you're sneaky as a 10-year-old without any technology and means. I don't even want to know what it's going to be like that. But at the same time, it's like the whole class. I mean, you got like freaking 10-year-olds with iPhone X's, better phones than me. So I'm like, when did y'all do that one?
I say Cohen still doesn't have a phone. He has my old phone, but I didn't activate the cellular. So he just has it as like a little game. He can message on FaceTime and that kind of thing. He can message me and his mom. But I don't care that his other friends have phone numbers and I like,
right.
That's their family. That ain't you. I don't care.
That's how I feel. Yeah. That's how I feel.
I say this, Derek, we got our kids iPhones, our boys, when they were in like 7th grade. And now, you know, I have one graduating and the other in high school. And if I could go back in time, I would not have given them an iPhone in middle school. That is 100% for sure. We have done something called a GAB phone. GABB, and it's just where they can text. There's no internet. There's not even any games on it. So if like for us, it came to like we're leaving our kids at home. Nobody has a house phone anymore. So that's why we did that so soon. But I wish I would have done something that was just texting, all that kind of stuff. So that's my advice. Wait as long as you can.
Because the internet is a wild place.
The internet
is
a
wild
thing.
For me as an adult.
It's too much for
sometimes
them.
I'm like, yo, this is a lot. And you have to have a lot of focus.
I saw somebody tweet yesterday
you know?
as a young adult, and they were like, the fact that I have had unfiltered and unlimited access to the internet since I was 11 years old has affected my mental health in a way that I probably will never understand.
Look, I've been working in digital media most of my adult life. I'm not even comfortable with all the content I've put out on the internet. much less people who don't share the same values as me. But it is. I mean, I think it does point to something where it's like for most of like modern humanity, the options for kids' entertainment was relatively small. We went from like hooping a stick for like 200 years to tennis ball for like 60 years, and all of a sudden now they have like Minecraft and video games and stuff. But for a long time, your options were pretty much some like little, foot-powered vehicle with wheels, a tennis ball, or just sticks that you go fight your friends with.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally a source of entertainment. Like, I am going to find a stick in the woods. I'm going to give my friend one, and we're going to fight each other with sticks. We're going to have, like, we've gone from stick fights to, Call of Duty or whatever in, like, a short, reasonably short amount of time. And I do think it's interesting, just like the psychological effects it will have on kind of the next generation that didn't experience what it's like to just have, like, when you're a kid and you had those afternoons that just sort of stretch on forever. Mm-hmm. It's just like you're just walking around the neighborhood. You're riding your bike or walking in the woods. You don't even have an awareness of the time. You don't really care because the whole point was there's nothing to do. Right. I do feel like kids these days, there's everything to do. And I just wonder what sort of like the psychological implications will be of that.
I mean, just like 8 years old, I would take my BMX and my allowance money and I would like ride down the dirt roads to 7-Eleven and spend it on candy, or I would build a fort in the woods, or I would come up with ideas and I would have to figure it out, whatever. And if I had video games or a phone, I would have probably just hung out at the house and just scrolled or clicked buttons. But I'm out there like creating and problem solving and, like creating a world, a thought world that kids don't have today. I don't know. I know we all sound old saying this, but it's like,
it's true though.
To me, like it's about the kid. It's about being technology being a crutch or not. To me, as long as my son is in balance and he's not like being sucked into a black hole of screens and we have margin and boundaries, just like anything in life, we should all have boundaries and margin and, be transparent and have accountability and all that, then I'm cool with it in moderation. But I want him to be bored. The other day he had a buddy over and they were playing video games and they came out and they were tired of the video game. Like, what else is there to do? I was like, literally, that's it. All screens are off. Get outside. Like two boys. There's a lake out there. Literally, Derek, I'm telling you, I looked up 5 minutes later.
Is dope, man. You got a fire pool. You got all kind of stuff.
Basketball's out front.
And let me show you something. Cameron runs by the house with a hoop and a stick down his street. Like,
hey, I'm telling you, 5 minutes later, the two boys are out at the lakefront throwing rocks into the lake. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're supposed to be throwing rocks. You're supposed to be trying to skip, whatever. I'm all about it. Turn off the screens. Go be bored, man.
Listen, I don't care if you're throwing the rocks at each other. Just do something different.
Right. Do something other than this game.
A good old-fashioned child rock fight.
Welcome to our retirement home. Our old people.
The good old days.
Back in my day, we throw rocks at each other. We have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, TAYA joins us. You know her from United, but she has a solo album out now. It's fantastic. She joins us today. Also, we have your feedback at the end of the show. I don't know how or when we asked this question. It's been a few weeks, but it's something about your craziest dentist story. Do you know how that came up?
Because the last episode, I had come right from the dentist. Like immediately.
And he's talking about the music.
That's right. That's right. All right. There you go.
Yeah, how they were just playing like that weird combination of pop and yacht rock. That's like Higher Love and Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car, which still is this kind of a disturbing song lyric to me. But, here we are.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary panel van type song.
The stories y'all sent in are crazy. Y'all's dentist experiences have not been good. So stay tuned for that. All right, we're moving the show along. Before I toss to Relevant Buzz, just want to make sure everybody knows about our new premium subscription called Relevant Plus. You get an ad-free content experience with everything we do, plus some exclusive stuff. You get an ad-free version of this podcast released early. You get an exclusive subscriber podcast. You get ad-free unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com. You get an enhanced ad-free digital edition of Relevant Magazine. You get so much. Plus, we drop subscriber exclusives every week. Go check out all the details and sign up today. Plans start as low as $2.50 a month. Just head over to relevantmagazine.com and you can click on the subscribe tab or the Relevant Plus tab. There's a lot of ways to get the info. Just check it out. relevantmagazine.com. Relevant Plus. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz. listening to Hannah Vu. The song is Parking Lot. Well, today's show is brought to you by He Gets Us, a national campaign bringing the story of Jesus to every zip code. For many who are skeptical of the Christian faith, Jesus feels irrelevant and untouchable. They may think, Jesus lived in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. How could he possibly understand what I'm going through? But the Bible gives us so many examples of Jesus facing much of what we're experiencing today. He dealt with anxiety, he was fed up with politics, and he knew how it felt to be isolated. He Gets Us is helping skeptics relate to Jesus by telling his story on national media through the lens of 2022. Then in just a couple of months, the campaign's had more than 150 million views on YouTube, not to mention Facebook, Instagram, broadcast networks. It's reaching everybody. If you watch sports, you are seeing it. If you watch most shows, you are seeing it. Visit HeGetsUsPartners.com to learn more and learn more about the team behind it. There's great resources there, small group studies, or you can head over to HeGetsUs.com to see the videos. You can see some reading plans and ways to connect. It's awesome. HeGetsUs.com and HeGetsUsPartners.com. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Please welcome to the show, Relevant Senior Editor Tyler Huckabee, telling us what's happened at the intersection of faith and culture this week. Coming to us remote from, it looks like...
That's right. Hold on. Can I describe
grand
this?
library.
Can I describe this? Okay.
I want to hear Jesse describe.
Have you ever watched like one of those shows about like some kind of rogue, agent who is going to avenge like some sort of government plot, and there's a senator that gets wind to it, and he's like, "I heard Johnson's gone rogue. I want him in my study." And he like shows up, and the senator is sitting there in a big leather-bound chair with all these books and like old medals behind him, and he's like sipping, from a glass. There's like a decanter of scotch, and he's like, "I need you on the president's side on this one." That seems like Tyler is about to have that conversation with some rogue
I'm the Get
spy.
Me Born guy. Am I the Get Me Jason
You're
Bourne
sitting
guy?
in his chair.
He's in a oversized leather chair. It's wood paneling, the library behind him. There's degrees on the wall, framed degrees on the wall. It looks like he's going to sue us or something.
It looks like at any moment a guy in a suit is going to walk in, hand Tyler a folder. Tyler glances at it while he's in the middle of doing the podcast. He goes, "I'm sorry, guys. I've got to attend to something." And you're like, "What was in the folder? What was in there?" That is the kind of office Tyler is sitting in. There's books behind him, this big chair. Even there's like, it seems like a tremendous amount of wood paneling in every direction.
It's a tremendous amount.
There's like this dark sort of wooden brown hue that just is. Oh, it looks like he has like, if you had like
he's
old,
ensconced.
Yeah, if you had like
paneling.
Like a filter on your Zoom that just said mahogany. Like that's what it looks like. Like there's a mahogany hue just over Tyler. Tyler, what does your in-laws do for a living that they own a study like that?
Yeah, I don't think they're on the Bourne beat, but it is because you're not seeing. I mean, you're seeing obviously my father-in-law's very impressive Zoom background, which would be like a 10 out of 10 on Room Rater. But we've got the globe. You got to have obviously. You look at this. There's a globe, but there's a physical globe. Mm-hmm. Does it open up and is there like a bottle of scotch in the? I don't know. I haven't tried it. We've got. I showed Cameron and Emily this. We got the letter opener, the old school Aragorn sword letter opener for all my. Yeah.
I was going to ask you: is there a blade near you? Little twist ending. The agent's going to do you in with that blade by the end of this podcast. Okay?
Like 100 tiny.
He knows
stabs.
what you did. He knows what you did. Yeah. And then he takes the scotch and just walks out.
Anyway, the buzz.
The buzz. What's going on this week?
No, the buzz. We got some interesting stories this week that kind of flew under the radar, and I was interested to bring these to you and get some of you guys' like hot takes on these. First up, now this one I thought was really interesting, and I'm surprised I didn't see a little more about it. But the Biden administration has announced a new deal with 20 internet service providers to provide high-speed internet to low-income housing at no more than $30 a month. This has been a big priority of the Biden administration. It's something that Biden ran on, said he really wanted to do. In his mind, high-speed internet is no longer a luxury that only wealthy Americans should be able to afford. It's part of, we kind of need it to live and to exist, to apply for jobs, to get, for your utility. If you don't have high-speed internet, it's kind of the same thing as not having a phone line. What not having a phone line would have been in the 90s. So obviously AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, the big internet service providers are on board with this. But what's more important probably is a lot of those smaller internet service providers that cover a lot of the rural landscapes that have not, to this point, had high-speed internet at an affordable cost for low-income Americans that have also signed on for this. So $30 a month, pretty good deal. And this is an important point to note, last year, Congress passed a bipartisan bill that allows low-income families to apply for a $30 monthly benefit and $75 if you live on tribal lands for broadband service. So if you qualify for that and you qualify for this new deal, you basically get free high-speed internet. And that applies to roughly 40% of the country. 48 million households in America will qualify for both of those together. You can go to this website the administration has set up called getinternet.com and see if you're eligible there. And I would highly encourage anybody listening to do this, because this is something that I think sometimes the government, especially Democrats, honestly struggle with, is getting word out there about good things that are available. So go to getinternet.com, right. see if you qualify, because that's a good deal.
Wow.
I love that. That's really great.
48 million households qualify for free high-speed internet. That's incredible.
That's the estimate, yeah.
It would have been nice probably 2 or 3 years ago when everything went virtual and kids were having to do stuff from home, but better late than never, I guess. Wow.
Yeah. So this is, moving the show along, this is the last thing, and this is just, I was very surprised by this. I'm going to read some names to you from an upcoming musical collaboration, and I want to see. I want to gauge your interest in this lineup. All right, we've got a Diana Ross Tame Impala collab. This is also going to feature Brockhampton, Thundercat, Tierra Whack, Brittany Howard, Phoebe Bridgers, Wiseblood, Bleachers, RZA, and Her. Based on that, what's your level of interest in this lineup? Where are we at?
Extremely high. I want to know, what is this?
It's the new South by Southwest line, Bonnaroo line.
It sounds like South by, right? Yeah. So, or a Pitchfork ACL thing. ACL, that would be good. Right, that's another good guess. That would make sense. Yeah, all of those make sense. But this is actually the track listing, the guest listing for the soundtrack to the upcoming Minions 3 Rise of Gru soundtrack.
Wow.
which is
those soundtracks are lit though. They are lit though.
Yeah, it's going to be the hottest album of the year. It's going to be a banger.
Dude, I've made an observation lately that, like, I've gone to a lot of children's movies in the last couple of years. Yes. And I've noticed more and more of them, they know their audience so well. They know that most people who are bringing children to these films are likely at our young parents, right? And more are finding ways to, like, just embed them with, like, either like meta commentary about, like, social issues or politics, or like weird sort of like 90s, early aughts references pop culturally, but more often than not, really good music, you know? They know that parents are stuck watching these over and over. Okay. It's the same thing. Like in my house, my kids went through a big thing with Sing 2, the movie. It's like a musical, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the animals are singing like modern pop songs mashed up with like U2 greatest hits, and Bono makes an appearance. And it was like, this is great. Every scene has like music that I don't mind listening to, and I don't mind when my kids play the soundtrack. Like I'll say this, it's like the reverse of Disney, where Disney will write some just obnoxious earworm like Let It Go that just they pulled from scratch.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, but it's you hear it twice. It's like, I got it. Okay, this is just corny musical theater for children, right? I mean, that's basically what it is, right? I'm not trying to dismiss it, but I do feel like that's exactly what they're going for.
Yeah, it's Broadway, 100%. Yeah.
Where you hear it twice, you're like, I got the idea. The other studios are going the opposite direction. They're like, let's figure out how we can get a Post Malone song in a movie made for 8-year-olds. Right, cool, let's do it.
And it kind of works. They've been doing this at least since was the first big one when Prince did the Batman soundtrack in 1980, whatever that was. Wow. 88, 89. That felt like that felt like a cultural moment when you could get a red hot star into your movie. And even people who might not have been interested in Batman were like, well, I like Prince.
Yeah.
Right.
My first one that I remember was Justin Timberlake. I mean, that wasn't that long ago, but what was Justin Timberlake? What did he?
Trolls.
Troll. Okay,
Trolls.
yeah.
And Pharrell did
Pharrell did.
Minions, Minions and stuff.
I was gonna say Happy is for me the
Pharrell,
one I'm like, yo, that's a hit.
But
Like that's not a sort of a hit. That's a hit.
Yeah.
But when it like got cool, I feel like was the Spider-Man animated Spider-Man one. It was like that's when they brought in like Post Malone and like actual like
posted the song.
really cool artists as opposed to just like I'm trying to do a soundtrack
Kendrick
for the
Lamar
movie.
did that curated soundtrack for the Black Panther movie.
That's
That was
right,
also
sir.
a big.
That's
That
right.
was that, and that
Yes,
album
sir.
was amazing. Like was as good as any Kendrick album. So I think you have that sort of, if you can afford it, and obviously the Minions movies are swimming in money right now. So all they have to do is call Jack Antonoff and say, offer your friends $1 million per track. We'll make it happen. And I'll listen to it. I probably am not going to go see the Minions movie, but when the soundtrack comes out, we'll probably turn it on day one. And
I will say
relevant
this
crew.
was quite a bit of conversation on the editorial team about this news item because Tyler hates the Minions so much.
I do.
He didn't.
What?
He didn't.
How
he
can
didn't,
you hate the Minions?
Literally,
It's
like
like
Emily
mortal
was
enemies.
writing it up. Emily was about to post
Mortal
this
enemies.
soundtrack release, and he's like, "I do not want any Minions news. That is not our lane, whatever." And she was really adamant. I'm sitting there refereeing the two of them, and like we ended up running it.
Tyler,
I was
what is
upset.
your opposition to the Minions? Because like most
Bro, how can you
American,
hate the Minions?
I find them delightful. Like most non-sociopaths, I find them absolutely delightful.
I honestly, so this is true. I have very little experience with them outside of weird, like wine mom meme culture, where they somehow get it's a picture of a minion, and then it's some quote about how like I'm barely hanging in, but it's almost wine o'clock. Like I feel like they have somehow become part.
What corner of the
That
internet
is-
are you living in? That's so
That's
weird.
Wow, bro.
I was gonna say your criticisms of the Minions is so specific to like some like
That really has nothing to do with the Minions.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
do
It's
you
like,
have
it's like it's a person.
It's his aunt. He is actually.
do you have like an aunt that you're like dreading scheduling an intervention with? Yeah, like an aunt that you guys should really have a talk about her wine consumption.
1 o'clock.
The aunt that he doesn't like likes the Minions, and so therefore
I do want
he
to
doesn't
say
like
this.
the Minions.
I do want to point this out. I'm going to send you guys the actual ad announcing this album. I'm going to pop it in the group chat there. Just take a look at it really fast, pull it up, and you'll see why this is a little bit of a surprise, because I think when you see the picture, you'll see there is nothing on. It's a cool looking poster. It looks like a music festival poster.
Yeah.
Nothing about that. There's not a minion in sight. There's not
Not a
the word
minion in
minions
sight.
is in sight, which is kind of how I prefer my minions, as we know. But
Brockhampton,
even
Gary Clark Jr.,
even the-
St. Vincent. Man,
even
this
the
is a
tweet,
lineup.
Even the tweet from this guy who posted it is like, "What is this?" He says, "Sorry, but what is the
I
thing?"
still can't get over the fact that Tyler has a deep-seated hatred for Minions that
do.
is solely rooted in
Aunt Peggy's wine consumption.
being appropriated for memes that normalize day drinking Chardonnay. Like that is Tyler's primary criticism of the Minions.
He
the
associates
ubiquity.
Minions with QAnon followers, and so therefore
I do.
Yo,
100%. And I've never
Cut it
seen.
out.
I haven't seen Despicable Me. I haven't seen the Minions movie. I don't know anything
You
about
were
them.
shooting
Yeah.
down us posting this item,
I
and
don't
you
know
haven't
anything
even
about them.
seen one of their
It's
movies.
a
That is-
principle. It's on principle.
But I don't know the principle
Stop
here.
it.
It seems like
Because I hate those little guys. I want them blended in a banana smoothie. I
even
just
the way-
Oh,
Hey,
not
but
the
even
Minions.
even the way you casually said, they target wine moms with this, and I'm like, the way he said wine moms is like as if that's just part of everyone's vernacular. Like, I meet up with some friends. I called up a couple wine moms. Like,
You know what I'm talking. You know what I mean when I say that, and it can't
Yeah.
be. It doesn't. It's not. It can be wine dads too. It just feels like Minions have
mainly
become
wine moms,
sort of
yeah.
a vocabulary on the internet for a certain type of 50s plus meme culture that drives me. That
I don't
drives me
think
crazy.
50-year-olds are going to the Minions movie. I think it's the 30s moms and maybe
That's
early
what I
40s
meant.
Well,
moms.
it's just
Problem.
the Minion meme. The Minion
They should be
memes that you
sitting
don't
in
like.
desks like me.
Big regal
Bruh,
desk.
hey, leave the Minions alone, bro.
they're hilarious. They're
They're
They
funny,
actually
man.
are.
They don't do nothing but try to help grew out and grew. You know what I'm saying? Like
And
millions ain't hurt
they
nobody.
like dancing. They have great taste in music.
They
I
like
mean, what's not to like? I mean, come on.
If there was a button I could press that would kill one minion and give me $10, I would press it.
God.
Yeah, I just keep slamming it over and over.
Tyler, the
Bop.
Venn diagram between the wine mom who shares like it's almost wine o'clock, like at Saturday at 2 p.m, and the mom, the boomer mom who posts the picture of Jesus in the Facebook feed that says you'll like if you actually love Jesus and ignore if you got some sinning you need to do or whatever. Yeah. How close to a perfect circle is that Venn diagram in your mind?
It's pretty close. I bet if I searched Christian minion memes, it would be all the way down the page. It would just keep coming. Page after page.
I don't know. The people
he said
who are
the menace of our time is minions, bro. Like this is it. This what we've been waiting on.
Jesse, I don't
y'all.
know about that Venn diagram thing though, because I think the minions are too secular for the ultra, heavy-handed Facebook relatives.
Okay,
doing the Jesus
I did
stuff.
just do a little search that just says Christian minion memes, and there are way too many than there should be. There are a lot. So Tyler, there you go.
All right, look, so this is all right, guys. I need y'all help with this. Speaking of, by this time, everybody has seen Doctor Strange, but it doesn't. This is just a side note. Everybody has seen Doctor Strange. I need y'all's help with this. The movie has a dude named the Sorcerer Supreme and a girl named the Scarlet Witch. And I've seen like a bunch of Christians saying it's too much witchcraft in this Disney movie. Can y'all help me break down like what was the expectation
like what
of
you
the
thought you were
average
gonna
person?
get? Like what you thought you were gonna get?
What did you think you was gonna get? That's how I feel about the minions. I'm like, when you said that Christians may not rock with the minions, I'm like, dang, if they don't rock with the minions, I don't know what. But help me out with this.
Wait. Side whole Slate article. This is a documented. A journalist has applied their craft to figuring this out. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to interrupt Doctor Strange, but this is real.
No, I'm saying I'm trying to. We got to figure this issue out. Like, what is this? Like with the movies? Like, what are we doing?
There is a throwaway line in this. It's called, the article is at Slate. It's called "The Lord's Little Helpers." Inside the surprisingly earnest world of religious minion memes. Okay, there's this throwaway line in here. It says apparently the adorable henchmen, beloved by Hollywood's youngest target demographic and seemingly loathed by everybody else, were now being used to express sincere mourning on a relative's Facebook post, blah, blah, blah. And seemingly loathed by everybody else. Apparently, we're in the minority.
I know. Tyler's teaching us.
I'm the normal one. I'm in the mainstream. I have mainstream. I've got my finger on the pulse of what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture.
Oh, I
didn't even know this was I did not know this was a documented thing.
Look. I just posted another article. The headline: Why do some people hate the Minions so much? And then it's a whole article on Vice, advice about people hating the Minions.
Y'all don't got kids. That's what it is. Or something. But no, seriously though, because having kids, there's movies that I was like, man, I don't really like this. But after you watch it 7,000 times, you're like, man, I love cars, dog. That's why, like, man, like Planes came on not too long ago. I think that's what it is. I think it might be that. Like, maybe I'm just outside because my kids have watched the Minions so much that I have grown to love them, even though I probably shouldn't.
I'll say this. If you drive around, at Halloween or Christmas time, I am very certain that they have pretty much almost entirely taken over the inflatable lawn ornament business. About 90% of lawn inflatables I see at the holidays are Minion related. We're one Christmas away from having a Minion manger scene, like inflating people's lawns across the country.
It's gotta exist.
So now that Relevant posted this a couple weeks ago, we're probably getting judged by our followers. Like, we're all out of touch. What is Relevant being run by a bunch of Christian wine moms now?
Part of the problem. Don't worry. I'm going to dig into this. I am.
Somewhere like Jack Antonoff from Bleachers is sipping on a delicious cab right now, looking at his watch, just, in his pure Minion glory, just, ready to cash some checks. I don't care. I don't care about the hate. I'm probably going to see the Minion movie, and I'll probably kind of enjoy it. And honestly, I'll probably listen to a lot of these songs.
I will listen to the songs. I'll listen to the songs. But you think Jack's got a nicer office than I do right now? He's got another thing coming. Bring it on. Bring it on, Antonoff.
All right. All right, well, that'll do it for Relevant Buzz. For more of that stuff, follow along. Apparently, we're posting all this throughout every day. Make relevantmagazine.com part of your daily web browsing and follow us on all the socials. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned. Up next, Taya joins us.
I'm just a hopeless romantic in a made-up version of understand. They say you do me wrong. Don't settle in my blood, neither is alcohol. The chemicals that turn me red like in the fall. And delusion cause a thoughtless intrusion. Now in reality, think better.
You're listening to Araya. The song is Doctor. Well, our guest today is Taya. She's a worship leader with United, who's released her self-titled debut album this month. We sat down with her to discuss how to step out in faith on your own, the importance of community in new seasons, and learning to be obedient even when you're unsure. Here's our conversation with Taya.
So show me your heart, 'cause I need a father. Show me your something that won't break. Show me your scars, 'cause I need a
Your debut album is coming out at the end of this month. How are you feeling about that?
It's kind of surreal, like to have worked on something for, just over 2 years, and mostly on Zoom. Yeah, so it's crazy. The third single just came out on Friday. And I think I needed the time, which again, I think is God's kindness to me. Because if it had been like a short process, I probably would have been like a nervous wreck, just like, oh gosh, like people hearing my melodies and words for the first time. So I think with it being just over 2 years, maybe God was like, now I'm like, let's just get it out. Like, let's see what people think. And it's okay either way, because I know that that's more God's territory. What happens after you release it. My job was just to be a good steward with what I felt he was asking of me. And it's been a very stretching season, learning how to carry something. I hadn't been a part of a full album process, like the mixing and the mastering. And even when you decide something's finished, do you love everything, and having like a critical eye, looking at those kind of things. But it's been amazing. Even if it was just this one, like what a joy to get to learn how to steward something and be pumped with what this offering is, and being able to say I stand behind every word and every melody and lyric, and just praying that it would minister to people.
I won't lean on my own understanding. I will let go, follow empty-handed. You say your yoke is easy. You say your burden's light.
You kind of mentioned this, but, was there anything in creating this process that you learned that was maybe surprising, or that you didn't think was something that you would go through or experience while creating this?
So we obviously didn't know the world was going to shut down. We're like,
sure,
we're going to go to Nashville. We're going to go to London. We're going to these grandiose plans. And then all of a sudden, and we are pivoting to Zoom. Let's see how we go. But to be honest, I don't think this record would be the record that I have in front of me if it wasn't for that, a silver lining of that crazy season for so many people. And it's held so many different things. And so I'm careful to say silver lining, because I know it wasn't a great season for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But for me, it allowed me space. It allowed me to start co-writing on my own little piano that my husband bought me, for my 30th birthday. And he said, this comes with no strings attached. I know this is going to help you in your own relationship with Jesus. And I know that this is a place that you've sat with him before. And so this isn't any pressure to, even though he knew that it was something that I was not doing that I needed to do, but he just said, this is no strings attached. Here's a piano. And so I got to sit at my own piano in our little, 1-bedroom apartment that we were renting, and start to kind of turn on the tap after 7 years. And so I don't know, I'm sure the pressure is different for a second album, because you have to kind of people what are they going to do? Mm-hmm. But this has been such a sweet experience to get to turn on the tap. And even though I hadn't been writing for 7 years, I had 7 years of, devotions and of journaling with Jesus. I call it my JC time, which is just Jesus Christ time. And I had 7 years of that and like sitting in and marinating in scripture. And, it's kind of what the Bible says we're meant to do, which is meditate on the word, day and night. We're meant to almost like chew on it, just that piece of chewing gum. Thank goodness it doesn't get stale. It actually gets more potent as we go.
Yes.
I wish a beautiful spearmint gum would do that. But it was actually an amazing experience.
I can't look away. I can't look away. We're captivated by you. We stand in reverence of you.
I love stories, and I usually lean in if someone's telling a story, and I just love the details. And so a lot of these songs are, influenced by people that had, been going through, tough seasons through, 2020 and 2021. And, there had been a lot of loss in a particular week of 2020, racial tensions. Mr. George Floyd had passed away that week. A school teacher that I had reconnected with at the start of 2020, all of a sudden tragically lost her son. And that had just happened the week before. And she'd reached out to me because we, reconnected, and it was just devastated for people. And, we're meant to be people of faith and hope. It doesn't negate the fact that we live in a fallen world, but as Christians, what do we believe in the midst of grief and in the midst of loss, and when things don't look how we had hoped it would look down here? There's got to be a glimmer of hope, even in art, that reveals what it's like to be a human, on the earth today. And so there's a song called Glory Hallelujah. And it does at the end, like in the bridge, it talks a little bit about heaven, like, one day our tears will fade. One day we're going to get this glimpse of, it's essentially, there's going to be a brand new day, and it's going to be the brand new day with Jesus, when we finally get to be in a place where there's no weeping, there's no hurt, loss, or pain. We see things in part now, but one day we will fully know.
This is your solo album, but it sounds like you really did have a lot of like community and people around you. So, even like the Holy Spirit, like you were never truly alone. So, just over the last like year or 2 years, how has like community changed for you? Or what have you learned about community, I guess, really in the last few years?
In the New Testament, when the early church was being formed, they were talking about how important it was, like, don't forsake the gathering together of the saints and breaking bread, sharing communion together. And I think if anything, the last, not even just being in Sydney, where all of a sudden we had, crazy lockdowns. Some states had 5 months worth of lockdowns. You're not allowed to see anyone. I just think it has highlighted that we're not meant to do life alone, particularly in tough seasons. A family is there through thick and thin. In the Bible, it says iron sharpens iron, which means we're rubbing up against each other. We're doing church life together. We're having meals together, and we're seeing each other in the ups and the downs, and good seasons and tough seasons. And I feel like a little bit of us, perhaps, because we weren't running into each other like we normally would, around the hallways and on the weekends. I feel like perhaps we were missing a little bit of that refining that comes when you hang out with people. And so for me, in that season, it was really important to have genuine connection with people. And that looked like being more intentional. I think that's the main thing. Because at the end of the day, Jesus is coming back for a pure and holy bride, and he's coming back for the church, big C. And what is the church? The church is people.
Are you burdened from all the heavy days? It's not your job to shoulder all the weight. Let me do it.
That was TAYA. Make sure to check out her self-titled solo debut album. It's fantastic. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback.
Head start I'm quitting. Save breath, I'm dashing, I'm never coming back. For one, saw the name on my jersey. Always played for both teams. Had big dreams and I felt bad. Killing you was a pleasure, man. Hope you understand that the measure wasn't no so tough. Kicking rocks in the promised land. Peace out, and I'm never coming back. Now feels like it should.
You're listening to Hippocampus. The song is Semi-Pro. Okay, it's time for your feedback. It was a couple weeks ago, a few podcasts ago, that we brought the story of Jesse's dentist experience and got us thinking about dentist experiences. So we asked you what your craziest dentist stories are. You hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, and there's a lot. So here you go. Here's a few of our favorites.
This one's from Dan Brown. I'm assuming it's not the author of the Da Vinci Code, but we don't know.
Maybe.
We don't know. We don't know.
You know what? Let's actually assume this is the author of the Da Vinci Code.
Okay. All right.
When the author of the Da Vinci Code was a child, and his family couldn't afford a good dentist, and he said, my dentist was the only business in an otherwise abandoned mall.
Oh my.
I remember sitting in a chair and looking over and seeing another customer, an inmate in an all orange, handcuffed to his dentist chair. Not a great sign.
Jesus.
I'd agree.
Yo.
I agree.
When he was a
that guy
kid,
do?
did he actually go to prison and not know it? His parents didn't tell him. Like, I don't think
Dan
they
Brown.
remove the prisoners to go to a dentist. I think they do it at the prison.
That was not an abandoned mall, kid. That was
That's called a penitentiary.
That was hell, is what it was. Is you were in hell.
that was a Saul movie. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Kevin Oliver says having a wisdom tooth removed and joked about the pliers not being big enough. The dentist laughed and said, "Oh, okay." Grabbed the biggest pair he had, climbed on the chair, put his knee in my chest,
Nope.
and said, "Are you ready?" I nodded. He pulled the tooth out so fiercely it flew across the room. And I hope that you sued is the next.
I have a question for
thing.
Kevin Oliver. Why was he not under anesthesia when he's having his wisdom teeth removed?
That's crazy.
I wasn't.
You
just
were
did
awake?
They just did topical where the tooth was. I was awake the whole thing. It didn't hurt at all.
So when my son had it, he came out and he was being all silly and laughing. Was he awake? No, he had.
No, he went under.
He didn't go under, obviously.
Yeah, they used laughing gas on him though. Yeah.
It was the best. Yeah. Oh, Kevin.
I got this one from Brian, and I feel like this is like a public service announcement. I've been harping on this for years, so I thank you, Brian, for having the courage to post and share this with us. Brian wrote this: at one point in my adult life, I didn't go for a 7-year period. When I did go, I was complimented on how nice my teeth were in cleanliness and care. That is when the quote "go every 6 month" mantra was officially broken.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. I've been. How many years have I been saying that there's a big dentist scam that they're running? If you have tooth pain, go to the dentist. Otherwise, you don't
believe in preventative maintenance? You want to wait till your house,
it's got a toothbrush,
your roof rots and falls in, then you call a roofer. You don't take care of things before
I don't call roofers every 6 months and just pay them to walk around up there. If I have a leak, let me flip the question on you, Cameron. How often do you have roofers come for spot inspections?
How about this?
Roofer's pretty like.
Okay, wait. Okay, you don't want to get your car checked out.
What about working out? You don't work out. You definitely work out.
I'm not saying. Look, I'm not saying. Like not to brush your teeth and take care of them. There's a difference between working out, but I don't go to the doctor every month, just to check on, everything. If I got a problem, I go, I would go check up here and there, but I agree with Brian.
You don't get a physical every year?
No.
Oh, you should.
Jesse, you better start getting your physical, bro. You gotta get a physical.
I'm like Jesse,
dog.
though. I went 15
good.
years without going to the doctor, and then I went in for physical, and he's like, "You just need to lose a little weight, but you're fine." And I was like, "Okay," and then I haven't been back since. So,
but it's better to that happen and it be that way than it's something different. You know what I'm saying? So,
Cameron's like, look, he told his doctor, he's like, listen, I just can't, I can't afford all these deductibles. I got roof guys coming twice a week just to make sure everything,
just to look around,
poke around up there. So far they haven't found anything, but the day will come. The day will come, and I'll be glad that they've been making bi-weekly stops at my house. A whole roofing crew.
Oh my gosh.
Ben Stroop, I'm not going to read his whole thing. I was just going to read his opening sentence. He goes, I hate the dentist more than Jesse Carey hates government overreach.
That's how he started.
That's great.
All right. Well, there's a lot more that came from. Go check that out. All right. Let's do a question of the week. It's time for
Editorial question of the week. Hey.
All right. Well, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about boredom. We were talking about screens. We were talking about exhaustion, whatever. Got us thinking about when we were kids, you know, we didn't numb ourselves with screen distractions. We went outside and got bored or prevented boredom by getting into trouble. So we want to know for this week's question of the week, we want to know your craziest story of things you got into to prevent boredom as you were growing up. Like, what's the sort of trouble you got into? I lit the woods on fire a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I one time when I was in 4th grade, I stayed home, quote unquote, sick, and my parents were working, you know, and I thought, you know, I wonder if garbage bags really do work as parachutes. And so I shimmied out onto our roof as a 4th grader, and I put on like a padded snow ski outfit and like snow ski boots, like ski boots to protect my ankles. And I grabbed a big old trash bag and I jumped off the roof to see if I would softly waft down to the ground. I plummeted to the ground. Those ski boots jammed into my shins. I was laying on the ground, writhing in pain as my mom pulled into the driveway. She comes home to her 4th grader in Florida in a full snow ski outfit, laying on the ground, covered in a garbage bag, crying. So
who was sick from school?
Sick.
Cameron, you was a wild boy growing up, bro. I ain't gonna even lie. You tell me a lot of stories.
I have stories.
I'm like, man, hey, he was a handful.
Hey, I was an
dog.
only child, and I just entertained myself by launching companies, lighting woods on fire, jumping on for roofs.
The great thing is, like, I feel like our generation, there was one recipe to get a kid better when they are sick. You know, it had 3 ingredients, but it was basically like our generation's ivermectin. Like, the evidence that it worked was, I don't know, but everyone did it and just accepted it. And that was drink some ginger ale, eat some of that
salty
crackers, salty crackers,
with chicken noodle soup with those little thin noodles, and one episode of Price is Right. You should be bounced back by mid-morning.
All right, well, hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast. Tell us your stories of things you did as a kid to prevent boredom. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank TAYA for joining us today. Make sure to check out her self-titled debut solo album. It's fantastic. Also, a few reminders. Our Relevant Plus subscription gives you access to tons of exclusive features, extra podcasts, ad-free content, unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com, and more. Find out all the information and sign up today at relevantmagazine.com. Also, while you're at the site, make sure to check out the incredible spring digital issue of Relevant featuring conversations with Ryan Reynolds, Shauna Niequist, Judah and the Lion, Channing Tatum, Bob Goff. It goes on and on and on. It's an amazing lineup. The ad-supported free version is available for your reading at relevantmagazine.com, and Relevant Plus subscribers get an exclusive ad-free enhanced edition. You don't want to miss it. Also, while you're at the site, sign up for our daily newsletter to keep up with all the best content we're putting out. You get a weekday email each morning highlighting the top 5 trending stories at our site. It's a great way to stay in touch. Also, follow us on all the socials where you will see everything we're putting out all day, every day. It's pretty fun. Okay, on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Jamie Ivey.
I'm Derek Miner.
We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
The agent's going to do you in with that blade by the end of this podcast.
Relevant Podcast Network.